And I think that's all I've got for tonight. Echo Charles, if you want to maybe take a minute here and explain, give me a chance to decompress over here, and maybe you can explain in the meantime if somebody wants to support this particular podcast.
Sure.
How they could do that.
It's crazy. These books don't, like the effect of, and obviously you didn't read the whole book, but just what you read, like the way it affects you, it takes you there. And just even like at the end when it's like the war was over, you feel, you're like, oh my gosh, thank God that's over kind of thing. You have that feeling and it just never wears off. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I've said before, when we started and I wasn't sure if I would have enough books, right?
Yeah.
But we're going to have enough books.
I know, man.
And every single one of these stories is its own incredible story. And because what we just talked about, how you get this war, World War II, for this guy was this here. But, you get someone that's in the Pacific and you take if you were to take one of his platoon commanders, it would be that war. Yeah. It's these little tiny human experiences that are so incredible, and each one of them is just as incredible as the next one, is just as incredible as the previous one, and that's why I just don't know if we'll ever get to them all. And the other thing is that we have to remember is a tiny, 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 minuscule percentage of these people actually wrote a book.
Yeah,
most of these stories they just happened, and we don't know about them.
Yeah, it's so crazy, and each one is so unique in their little perspective, but at the same time, it has so many similarities, and it all sort of like as you gather, one story, two stories, all these different, it starts to tell this overall tale, It's
the tale of humans. It's the tale of human nature. It's the tale of overcoming, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just the things that these guys overcome. You take all these things. I've been in some miserable places, right, in my time, right? I mean, basically everybody has. You've been in some hard places in your life, and then these guys, they do that, and they live that way, and then they get attacked, and then they lose guys, and they get wounded, and then they just go right back out, onto the front. Yeah. The limits of human nature, or the limits of the capacity of human beings to overcome obstacles is unbelievable. And if there's nothing else, like I know not everyone goes to war, and not everyone should go to war, and I don't want anyone to go to war if you can help it. Mm-hmm. But if at least we learn that whatever we're coming up against, man, we can deal with it. We can do so much more and be so much more uncomfortable and push yourself so much harder. That was one thing, and I didn't do a good job today of portraying it, but he's getting pushed in a lot of these situations. I mean, you can kind of hear it when he's getting woken up. Every time he wakes up, his initial reaction isn't cool, I get to go fight now. No, his initial reaction every single time is like, I want to go back to bed. I want the war to be over. I want to hide. That's his reaction every single time. And yet, every single time, he gets up and he does his job. He does his duty, and he does what he has to do. That's the human spirit, right? That's the thing that we should all capture. I mean, we have a hard time getting out of bed because it's going to be a tough workout, or because we're going to have a hard day at the office. It's like we're pathetic. We're pathetic. Compared to these guys that are, what's waking you up? Mortar fire, machine gun fire, people screaming that they're being overrun. That's your wake up call. I think we can get out of bed in the morning because we're facing a tough workout or a hard day, or we got to get up early for travel, or whatever situation you're in. Mm-hmm. You can do it. I can do it. We can do it. Look at what these guys went up against day after day after day after day after day after day after day. Just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. And the whole time, by the way, there's the threat of death. By the way, the whole time.
Freezing.
I just thought about this. Like, this is a book where he doesn't even talk about, like, his family.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about his loved ones. No, he's there. He's just, like, detached from everything else. He's got a war to fight. So, thankfully, we get these incredible memoirs. This one here, if you're looking at it on YouTube, holding up the cover. I got the old school version. It has illustrations in it. Got some cool ink drawings of. It's all of weapons, just to kind of let you know what these things look like. But incredible stuff.
Yeah, man.